Well, in an absolute stunner, the Chiefs fall to the Bengals in the AFC title game. Does this loss change how we view Patrick Mahomes? And is Nick okay? The Rams rally past the Niners. They are headed to the Super Bowl, but is Jimmy Garoppolo the reason why? And is Nick okay? And Joe Burrow engineered one of the most epic comebacks in NFL playoff history yesterday. And is Nick okay? Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to... now I can't crush Nick. What did you do?
No, that's not allowed.
It's not fair.
Taking a page out of Steph Curry's book. How mean y'all gonna be to me when I got the cute kid on my lap? She's not leaving. She's going to be here for 2 hours. I dare y'all to be mean to me. She's right here. So give me your best.
Oh, man.
Bravo, Nick Wright. All right. Deanna, I'm very sorry, but we do have to start in Kansas City. Earmuffs, Nick, if you don't want to relive this. We're in overtime. We're in overtime because the Chiefs blew an 18-point lead, and it was all downhill from halftime. And that was the exclamation point Mahomes picked off trying to target Tyreek Hill in double coverage. Last week's Bengals hero, Evan McPherson, hero again from 31 yards. That's the game. The Cincinnati Bengals pulling off an absolutely incredible upset, 27-24 the final. They are on to the Super Bowl for just the third time in franchise history. Chiefs? Well, Chiefs are on to vacation. Heartbreak for a team many had winning it all this year. Nick, you were one of the many. A, my condolences, and I sincerely mean that because after 5 years, I do in fact love you. And B, could you by some chance put this all into perspective for us?
Oh, sure. No, Jenna, I really can't. Now, I'd like to sit up here and say that as Patrick Mahomes, on his journey to being the GOAT and on the Chiefs' journey to a dynasty, that, one of the few boxes they hadn't checked was blowing a 21-3 lead in the AFC Championship game, like the Patriots and Tom Brady so famously did in even more egregious, mortifying fashion. I would love to have that be the angle this morning. Unfortunately, because I am always dripping in objectivity and my commitment to take integrity, I must tell you the truth. And the truth is that was the worst loss I've ever suffered as a fan of any team in any situation. And I don't know that I'll ever get over it. Chiefs fans have had a lot of heartbreak. We had Lynn Elliott game, missed 3 field goals. We had the no-punt game, lost a playoff game where we didn't punt or turn the ball over the whole time. Chiefs fans lost a playoff game a few years ago where we scored 2 touchdowns, the opposition scored 0 touchdowns, and we lost. Seems like an algebra problem. That's an invalid solution. Chiefs had a 21-3 or 20-3 lead on Marcus Mariota once. He threw the game-winning touchdown pass to himself. Look that one up. That was fun. There was the D Ford game. There was the 28-point blown lead to Andrew Luck. This is worse than all of them. And it's worse than all of them because it was a championship-level team with a championship moment and a championship swagger. And I'm going to tell you something that Broussard, if once you're done, you want to go back to me, and then I'll go back to you, and then we just go back and forth, kind of play keep away from Wilds. That's totally fine with me, buddy, so you call it. But Broussard, remember the pass heard around the world that I was totally right about that changed Mahomes' trajectory?
Right about.
The reverse version of that happened, and that was the final play of the first half. The final play of the first half was, the brain lapse that will ring in infamy. That wrecked him somehow for the rest of the game, and he wasn't able to get over it. So how am I doing? Terribly is how I'm doing. Will it get better? No. Do I have an excuse? No. But luckily, I have these 3 great friends who I'm sure won't pile on this morning. So that I hope that sums it up as I try not to cry. Broussard, Jesus Christ, 21.
All right, Nick, I do feel for you. And look, let me let you guys know. I moved around a lot as a kid, right? Well, guess where I lived for 7 years.
Oh, diehard Bengals.
I lived from the time I was a baby, a few months old, till I was 7 years old. I lived in, yes, you guessed it, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh.
I'm repping the Natty right now. Now, I'm just letting you know. Now, everybody knows I picked the Chiefs like Nick. So I'm not going to play that Bengals card. But I do have legitimate dibs on it if I want. I'm just letting you know. I could get up here and gloat about Cincinnati, College Hill where I live there, all of that. But I'm not going to do it because like Nick said, I'm going to stick to my take integrity, and I did pick the Chiefs to win. But Nick, I got to share some stuff with you, man. Look, I take my role as the wise elder statesman on this show seriously. And I try to lead you by example. I try to show you how to root for a team. All right, yes, you exude confidence. Yes, you stand firmly by your pick. Yes, you display conviction. But always respect the game by respecting the opponent. And you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it.
It was all happening.
Oh!
Everything I said was right. It was all wrong.
No, it was not right. And this is why it's the worst loss of your life. Because you got on your high horse. You celebrated prematurely. You mocked every single opponent that the Chiefs played. Oh, the Steelers are better than a bye. I told you.
I was right.
Them. Oh, Josh Allen is Mr. Magic Mountain. I said respect that man. And I told you a week ago. Oh, this game with the Bengals has 42-17 written all over it. And
we were on track.
Nick.
We were on track.
Nick. I told you, man.
42-17.
And here, now look at you. Wallowing in the mire.
He's right about that.
Looking at your beautiful, cute little daughter, Deanna, to save face for you, to protect you. And now your city is a mess. Not just your team. Look at this tweet from a local TV station in Kansas City. This is the lowest of the low. Can we see it on the screen? KMBC, I think it's called.
I don't know.
We were never supposed to be here. They counted us out. They put us down. But this team battled back. We did it once. We'll do it again. Thank you for the what? We were never supposed to be here. You were literally everybody's preseason pick to win the Super Bowl. Going into the playoffs, everyone had you winning the AFC. And you were never supposed to be. This is nonsense. So, Nick, and today, as you eat your humble pie, learn from that pie. Listen to that pie. And learn to win with class. No more 20-0 predictions. No more Aaron Rodgers better not think about getting in our division. None of that. No more Patrick Mahomes is the greatest football player to ever lace him up when he's just 5 years into his career. Wilds, I hope he learns from this. Humble pie, humility.
Let's hear it, Wilds.
Yes.
Just get his
Look,
ankles.
I like the Chiefs. We all like the Chiefs on the show. They're a well-run team. They're a well-coached team. They're fun to watch. But all of that does not make a dynasty. And Nicholas, I have sat here and listened to, the Chiefs dynasty, not just from Chiefs media, but from the players themselves. Can we run through a quick walk down memory lane? Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs mega deal. Hype video, we're chasing a dynasty. Actually, somewhat fair to chase the dynasty. Chris Jones, 5+ rings. It seems lofty. How about Cheetah? What does he say? 5? What? How about 7 rings? No. No. This is a dynasty that started on a D4 at offsides. You won one Super Bowl. You lost a Super Bowl that you didn't score a touchdown, and now you blew an 18-point lead. No more dynasty talk. None. Zero. And I know you say Wilds, but like Tom Brady also blew an 18-point lead. You know what? When Tom Brady did that, he had 3 Super Bowl rings. He had been to 4 Super Bowls. You've been to 2 Super Bowls, you're shooting 50%. So I like the Chiefs. Rough day for you, but the dynasty talk needs to be rolled up in one of Joe Burrow's cigars and smoked. Go up in flames. I never want to hear it again until you win another Super Bowl. Until you win a Super Bowl.
I got to tell you guys.
Still dynasty?
This is, there's so many movies made about somebody who is living in their personal hell, and it's like, oh, this is what it would look like. I now know, because I have to listen to Kevin Wildes with his tie more askew than it's ever been. I got to think that's on purpose.
Sorry, celebrating all night.
Who had one stat involved in his whole take, and even got that wrong.
Over.
Brady hadn't been to 4 Super Bowls at that point. He had only been to 3.
Been to.
So Wildes is wrong.
Sorry, I get lost. So many of them.
And there's nothing I can say. He's gonna pop champagne, and as just pain on the just a cherry on the top of my pain Sunday this morning. I have to wake up to so many guys opting out of the Pro Bowl that Wildes is going to be able to call McCorkle a Pro Bowler. This is there, and again, Broussard, you said I was too out there, 42-17.
Yes.
20 guys, it was 21-3. It was 21-10. The Chiefs had the ball on 1 yard line. It looked like it was going to be 42-17. Everyone, including Wildes, thought the game was over. Yeah. If you pop that, you pop that champagne on camera,
Wildes, that you're going to. I know.
I'm telling you now, I'm going to leave.
That you're going to.
I'm telling you right now.
I feel like it's going to hit me.
Pop that champagne, I'm going to leave.
Oh, wait.
All right.
It's a long show.
Next segment. Let's talk Jimmy G. Let's keep it moving, guys.
Whoa, listen.
Brady retired.
12
Jimmy G
minutes
stunk.
in,
Let's
no
keep it
champagne
moving.
was popped. Nick is still with us. It's all a good sign. We got another 2 hours to discuss. Let's jump to the other side in the NFC. Talk some Niners Rams. Jimmy G, is he the reason San Francisco's season ended yesterday? I guess Nick got a little something that he was right about. We'll discuss that next. First things first, so who is playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl, Niners or Rams? After the endless narrative about Jimmy G being just a quarterback wins guy, could he prove the doubters wrong in crunch time? Well, that was a pick, and that's Jimmy G, and that's your answer. That Rams pick sealing the 20-17 win for LA. They can now book their very, very short trip back to SoFi for Super Bowl 56. For the Niners and their quarterback, more questions than answers after this loss.
I think these next couple days they'll really start to settle in a little bit. You know, emotions are high after a game, win or loss, and it's just it's one of those things you got to be glad it happened. Just smile from it and think about the good things. We'll see what happens in these next couple days, weeks, whatever. But I love this team. Just the fight and the battle in this team throughout the entire year has been really impressive, and I love those guys.
Hey, Chris Broussard, is Jimmy Garoppolo the reason the 49ers lost last night?
No, not at all. Look, if you want to blame Jimmy G because he couldn't carry the football team, okay. But who said he could? We've never, as Wildes and I have, defended Jimmy G for the last several weeks, we never said he was a top 5 quarterback. We never said he was Mahomes or Josh Allen or Peyton Manning. Like, you can put your football team on his shoulders and he'll lead you to victory, especially in a playoff game against a great defense. All right. And the fact is, when the Rams shut down the Niners run game, they held them to 50 yards rushing yesterday. They had given up on average about 150 a game in their first 2 losses to the Niners. So when they shut down the run game, and it had to be Jimmy G's got to throw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns for us to win, he couldn't do it. But that's not who he is.
How about make one play?
And that last, for those that want to put that last interception,
what about make one play?
That last interception, he threw 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 touchdowns.
No, but when they needed him.
All right,
how about make one
play? The last interception, anybody saying that was the game, that's ridiculous. It was 3rd and 13 with a minute left from their own 22. All right, he was trying to make something happen. Had he just taken the sack by Aaron Donald, it would have been 4th and 25. All right, they were not likely to pick that up. So he's trying to make something happen. Yeah. The game was pretty much over. Not to mention the running back Hasty could have caught that pass. So he did not blow.
Oh, could have caught it.
The defense.
The
defense gave up. The defense gave up score. Excuse me. On the last 3 possessions by the Rams. They gave up 13 points in the last 17 minutes. We saw the drop interception that could have been. Jaquasi Tart dropped.
We'll show you some dropped interceptions.
He didn't. I'm not saying he did great damage, Jimmy G, but you don't put the loss on him. No way. You can't.
Of course you do. Listen, you can't be quarterback wins guy, and then when you lose because you can do nothing in the 4th quarter, be like, it's not on him. He's quarterback wins guy. Yes, you are correct, Broussard. When the Niners' run game is not dominant and they need to rely on Jimmy Garoppolo, not 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, make 1, maybe 2 plays in the 4th quarter that you entered with a 10-point lead, you can't. Instead, on the final 2 drives of the game, either one, field goal, and they're going to the Super Bowl. Not touchdown, field goal. The last one, I guess, field goal, and you're going to overtime, a chance to go to the Super Bowl. He was 1 of 6 for -3 yards and an interception. And now let me be fair to Jimmy G, because you're right. He threw some gorgeous ball. Let me show you his best play of the day. We can show it right here. This is the most explosive Niners play of the day. Oh, my God, look at that throw by Jimmy G.
Counts.
That's not at all, once again, Jimmy G being carried on the back of more talented teammates.
It's a touchdown.
But that was early. Yeah, it was a beautiful pass. I don't know who could have made that pass. Unbelievable.
Show the Kittle touchdown
pass. Once the 4th quarter started, you want to talk about dropped interceptions. What about this? What about this great moment in Jimmy G history? Should have been a pick 6 to lose the NFC Championship game. That, by the way, is a carbon copy of the play where he threw the pick on the same end of the field, really, but going in the other direction against the Packers. And, guys, Jimmy G can win wilds if he doesn't have to do anything. We can show you the numbers. Well, his numbers are actually slightly better in the losses. You know why? Because he has to throw more, so they're losing. Yes, you can win when Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have to do anything. And this idea that we're going to say a quarterback who gets the ball with more than a minute left and needs a field goal, we can't put it on him, that it ends in a twirl-around interception. Give me a break. He can't be quarterback wins guy.
On, that's his fault.
Yeah. The fact that Broussard.
He was literally within the grasp of Aaron Donald.
Brew.
They were going to pick up 4th and 25.
No, Brew. But the fact that they're in 3rd and 13. The fact that on the final 2 drives, when they didn't run the ball once, they gained a total of, let me check it, -8 yards. And Jimmy Garoppolo's 1 completion went backwards, and the other completion went to the Rams, probably on him. For down 3, minute 20 left. Or minute 40 left when they get the ball. Go make a play. He can't. And Wilds, your guy Jimmy G is going to be on some mediocre team next year without a coach, a running game, an offensive line, and a defense to cover up all his obvious warts, and he will look like what he is, which is a quarterback that is somewhere around the 20th in football.
It's fair. He also could probably go 10-7 and get to the playoffs because all he does is win. But you have a fair point. Look, Jimmy G had ended his tenure in San Francisco, Broussard. I thought it was admirable. And for as many slings and arrows as the guy takes, he did have a thumb injury and a shoulder injury. He's playing knowing that his job is on the line and never complained about Trey Lance. He knew that his seat was the hottest among all quarterbacks, and all he did was carry the 49ers to the the NFC Championship. So for that, I applaud him. Well, you know, it's more of like carrying It's more
His
of like
special teams
carrying
scored more
a
touchdowns
large
than he did
sofa
second
bed.
round.
You
Carrying
need
luggage.
several people to
Carrying
carry
the
it,
luggage.
but you're still involved in the carrying. You don't carry it
Pivot.
all by yourself. Not bag groceries. It's more like it's a heavy load.
What
You're
if
one of
when,
the
hold on,
people
can
carrying
I
it.
just ask you a quick question, Wilds, and I'll let you finish?
Yeah, go.
What if when all your fellow movers are carrying the sofa bed, you're laying on it drinking a pina colada, directing it? Are you still
Well,
carrying it?
he probably
'Cause
just-
if you're actually just weighing them down, not helping at all, and hurting the overall effort, is that still, you were still a part of it?
Well, he's not supposed to.
I'm just curious.
He's not. He can't block. He can't block Aaron Donald. It's not his job to block. Just for the record, it's not his job to block.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about quarterback wins because you could make an argument, Nick. Oh, quarterback wins are dead. Jimmy G's down for the count. Or did it just move over to Matthew Stafford? Because I'm going to hear how Matthew Stafford played so amazing. I don't know. Didn't Matthew Stafford throw an interception just like Jimmy G almost threw an interception? But it was dropped
there it
by
is.
Tart. This is a killer play. It's killer. And shout out to Tart if we can show his tweet. He faced the media. This is exactly what you do when you make a mistake. No excuses. I deserve all the criticism. Opportunity I dream of. I came up short. Let my brothers down. I still won't define me as a person player. Only what's stronger and better. Broussard, I thought that was basically pitch perfect from Tart. I thought it was fantastic. Now, on the other hand, I do think that really affected the 49ers. Next thing you know, Odell gets a big catch and gets an unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness getting hit in the helmet. I think that was a frustration foul that the 49ers knew they had the game. But so look, Jimmy G does bear a little bit of responsibility. The INT bears some responsibility. Debo not getting the ball bears some responsibility. But overall, I'm happy and proud of what Jimmy G did this entire year.
Proud?
Quarterback wins. Even
Thank you,
I'm
Wilds.
proud of him.
Thank you
am.
for bringing some
For how he handled the
reason
Trey
to
Lance
this
thing. I
show.
am. And he's so
Thank you.
handsome.
Absolutely. Nick, look, and
he's
just
so
for the
handsome.
record, when Jaquaski dropped that pass, it was 17-14 with under 10 minutes left. All right, I said it. They scored on their last 3 possessions. That was one of them. They tied it with the field goal.
Yeah.
So if he intercepts that ball, that doesn't happen. It does change the game. Not putting it all on him, but that was a game changer.
No.
And Nick, here's my only thing. Again, you're right. Jimmy G didn't make a play late. Don't say he can't make plays late because we've seen him. In
No,
fact,
we're
we
not
saw him
going
against
back.
the Rams at the end of the regular season.
You can't
I'm just
play
saying,
both
you
sides.
can't say he's never
You
done
can't.
it. No, I'm not playing both sides. I'm saying you're trying to act like we were saying he was Aaron Rodgers. We never did.
No.
We're
I
just
was trying.
the
No, I got to
offensive
respond to
line.
this quickly
No,
before we break.
You can't
I
put
gotta
it
respond to this
all
quickly.
on Jimmy G.
I was trying
the
to
O-line
act
didn't
like-
block for the running backs. Go
Drew,
ahead.
I was trying to act like
Go.
you guys
Go.
were saying he's a winner, so the last thing he's going to do is have a 10-point lead with a chance to go to the Super Bowl and literally do nothing but negative the rest of the game. 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. His final 2 possessions, he
went more
completed 1
18-point
pass,
lead.
it went negative. The other pass he completed was a pick. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't ask him to carry it, but don't kneecap
But it's
your own
all
team.
on him.
He kneecapped
Not on the defense at all. Not on the defense at all. Or at the
Defense-
O-line that couldn't get
Look,
the run game going. Not on him.
Jimmy
Just
G
Jimmy G.
is going to
Come
be a
on.
topic this
Come on.
entire offseason. We're going to have plenty of chances to take another bite at that apple. Let's head back to KC. Our friend Nick's football team lost the game yesterday. Did you hear? Read all about it. Does that change how we're viewing our friend Nick's quarterback? Patrick Mahomes, talk about it next. First things first. I promise this is going to be a good one. Well, moving on to the other big news this weekend, the retirement, non-retirement of Tom Brady. Reports over the weekend that Brady was retiring, but then shortly thereafter, he perhaps was not retiring. Brady's agent, his dad, the Bucks, the folks that would probably know, have yet to confirm Brady's decision. It would appear that the GOAT wants whatever news it may be to come out on his own terms, on his own timeline, and in his own way. Selfish. Hey, Broussard. Just kidding. How do you think this plays out, this whole thing?
Yeah, I do think, despite the conflicting reports, Jenna, that he does retire. And I think what happened is that obviously the news broke, and then Brady felt a few ways. One, he hadn't yet informed the Buccaneers. So if you respect the organization, you hate to have this news break, and you just told them, in fact, the GM Jason Light said it, you just told them you haven't made up your mind yet. You're still considering it. All right, and then the news breaks, so you understand that. Secondly, and you brought up LeBron. We talked about him on this show a few times. LeBron kind of has set a bar for how great, all-time great players now step away or make a major announcement. All right, and when he went to Miami from Cleveland the first time, all right, he had the decision. Yeah, you might not like the way he did it, but he broke the news himself. He controlled it. All right, and then when he goes back to Cleveland, same thing. He writes it in Sports Illustrated. He controlled it. He broke the news. And it doesn't feel right. Tom Brady, the GOAT, 7 Super Bowls, to just be broken on a little tweet. He wanted to have, whether he's going to have a big press conference, whether he's going to make a big Instagram post, whatever it is, he wants to control the way he steps away, which I get. And then thirdly, I don't think he wanted to interfere. Some might disagree with me. I don't know that he wanted to interfere with these games this weekend. You know, so I just think that he looked at it and said, This is not a good look. I've got to control this thing, Wilds. And so I think that's what happened. And I do think eventually he'll have, again, whether it's a presser or an IG post, he will make a better, more grander announcement, more befitting his career and the way it should end.
Yeah, it should be. I hope it's bigger than an IG post, just like a little TikTok dance of
I would
retirement after 2 decades of excellence. I hope so, but I'm not in charge of the social media. So I think he's going to retire. I think the reports are accurate. But I subscribe to the Tony Romo's theory that this is a temporary retirement. I think he takes a year off, recharges his batteries, and comes back somewhere. And I don't know where, but somewhere. And here's why.
Wow.
If you're a great player who can still do it, there's a long list of guys that say, you know what? Let me run it back one more time. So let's look like just super recently. His teammate Gronk retired and came back, could still do it. Eric Weddle retired, came back, and led the Rams in tackles yesterday. Marshawn Lynch retired, come back a few times. Okay, I know what you're saying, like, Wilds, I don't know if those guys are on Brady's level. Fair. Totally fair. Well, Favre retired twice, came back. Michael Jordan retired twice, came back. Roger Clemens retired at the age of 41, went down and said, you know what, I can still throw this fastball. Came back with the Astros, won Cy Young and the ERA title. So I think if Tom Brady still has it in him, Nick, he's going to have to come back because that's what great players do. And the reason why I think, there's a little causality here, is I don't think if you're at the mountaintop that it's like you're the fastest or you're the strongest or you're the smartest, you can jump the highest, wherever it is. It's just that you have a certain extra gear of drive that you can't turn off. And I know there's an argument like, he'll transfer that to business.
No,
maybe.
He won't.
Maybe
and he doesn't want to quit.
Michael Jordan.
He made it very clear.
That's right.
He doesn't want to quit.
Exactly right.
He's being pushed into this. And so a couple things here. First of all, there's one other factor. The Bucs owe him $15 million as part of a deferred signing bonus on Friday. So it behooves him to not retire until after Friday because it's very different for the Bucs to try to claw back money, which I don't think they'd ever do, and simply not pay money. So I think it behooves Brady to not retire until at least after Friday. That's first of all. Second of all, I'm very interested in who leaked this because the Bucs clearly didn't, his agent clearly didn't, Tom clearly didn't, but Schefter and the other reporter, was it Darlington, whomever it was, they're not going with this on third hand. They've got to have it exact. So who leaked it and why did they leak it? I'm very interested in that, but I don't know that we'll ever find out. Lastly, to Broussard's point, and then I want to build off Wild's, about upstaging the NFC championship games, the conference championship games. I totally agree. It's much more Tom Brady's style to, release something like this the Friday before the Super Bowl that he's not playing in, like he did that cryptic IG post. Am I walking in? Remember that? Remember when that hijacked Friday before the Super Bowl a couple years ago? Is he walking in or is he walking out? A Rorschach test of Tom Brady, because God knows he wouldn't want the extra attention. So you're right. It was a little premature for that.
Good post.
But
It's a good post.
America, today is a day of a lot of pain for me. But even through the pain, I can decipher projection. And I am feeling projection from Kevin Wildes. Because while Kevin Wildes is puffing his chest out, ready to pop champagne about the Chiefs' demise and pretending he believes in Mac Jones, all he's doing is saying, Tommy, come back. Tommy, next year when Mac Jones is the third or fourth best quarterback in his own division, we'll have you back, buddy. Please.
Wow.
Give the Patriots one more offseason. Come on. Wildes, be honest. Baby goat, schmaby goat. When you say Brady might come back, you're not talking about for the Titans or for the Niners. You're talking about for your team, the New England Patriots.
Look, if you want to go and dig into Tom Brady's press conference and his last game at Foxborough, last game in quotation marks, you can do that. And he says, I'd like to end up here. I'll see you again. Like, maybe you can parse those words. But I do not think this retirement is permanent, Jenna. Where he ends up, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
for the
Minnesota,
record,
like Favre.
I'm going to say
Foxborough,
not
Cold-blooded.
retiring. I bet he comes back and he's like,
Not retiring?
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
You think he plays next year,
I never
Jenna?
do stuff like this. I think he plays next year for Tampa Bay. I'm just saying. All right. Only 2 teams remaining. Not many predicted. Rams, Bengals would be them. Which quarterback is reaching the Super Bowl? A bigger deal for Burrow or Stafford? We talk about that next after we see Joe Burrow showing off the bling post-game. Check this out.
Joe, being a good reporter, I've got to ask about the jewels. Are they real, and what are they?
They're definitely real. I think I make too much money to have fake ones, so, these are real.
First things first, we're back talking Super Bowl 56. The stage is now set. Rams, Bengals it is after a rather epic championship Sunday. Joe Burrow's Bengals came back from down 21-3 to knock out Mahomes and the Chiefs. While Stafford led a couple late drives to get LA past San Francisco. We got 4-time Pro Bowler Mike Vick with us this morning. Mike, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. But Broussard, I want to start with you. Is reaching the Super Bowl a bigger deal for Stafford or for Burrow?
Well, look, it's obviously huge for Burrow. This is a team. Remember, just 2 years ago, everyone was saying, force your way out of Cincinnati. Don't enter the draft. Somehow don't go to Cincinnati. It's a terrible franchise. And here they are, 6 wins in their previous 2 years, and he leads them to the Super Bowl. So it's tremendous for him. But he's building a legacy. Like, how this plays out over time and how good this looks for him will depend on how he builds on it and what he does over the next decade. Aaron Rodgers, great that he won a Super Bowl in 2011. But because he hasn't built on it with other Super Bowl wins, now it's like, okay, it was nice. That's great. You got a ring, but we don't look at it the same way. So Burrows, it still remains to be seen how big this is for him. For Stafford, this is huge. He's my answer. Matt Stafford is bigger for because he changed a narrative. The narrative, Mike, about Stafford was great arm, puts up big numbers, not a winner. And now that's changed. He beat Tom Brady in Tampa. He threw for 300-plus yards in his last 2 games. All right, he is now beat a team that Sean McVay hadn't beaten in 3 years. And so the narrative now will totally change, and Detroit will get all of the blame for Matthew Stafford's playoff failures in the past. And I don't think that's fair, or I don't think it's totally accurate. But that's how the perception is going to be. The narrative will now be he was with a horrible franchise, so it wasn't his fault at all. That's why he couldn't win. Now he's changing the narrative, and as I said it last week, this could be the start of him building, or is the start of him building a strong Hall of Fame case, Mike.
Yeah, Chris, I agree with you. And, over the years, as we watched Matthew Stafford in Detroit, we really thought that was going to be his legacy. I don't think there's a person on this earth who would have thought that Matthew Stafford would have moved on. We just thought that the Detroit Lions was going to continue to build around Matt, and someday they would get it right. We didn't see the abrupt change, and he made the change, and now it's paying dividends for him. And, he's in a position now where, like you say, he can continue to build on his legacy. He can cement his legacy, obviously, with a Super Bowl win. But this is the first of many. I think we'll see, Matthew, we'll see the Rams in more NFC championship games and more playoff berths, giving them opportunities. So this is more so about him continuing to build on his legacy and continue to become legendary in his own right, because he's done everything right up until this point. Now, if he wins it, from here on out, he's playing with house money. So, shout out to Matthew Stafford. He got everything that he was wishing for.
And the Rams proved a lot of the detractors correct. I'm happy for Matt, but what Matt's trying to do is not historic. Broussard, Burrow's trying to do something that, and I tried to find another comp. He's trying to do something that nobody's done across sports since Kareem. Win the championship your last year in college while winning the most prestigious individual honor, be the number one pick of the draft that year, and within 2 years win the title. No one in the NFL's ever done it. No one in the NFL, national championship, Heisman, Super Bowl MVP, or Super Bowl championship as a quarterback, never been done. Burrow's trying to do it all in 3 years. So I think the answer, Wilds, is Joe Burrow, because it's all of that. Plus, it does matter who you went through. He is now, if Brady is retired, the only active quarterback to ever beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game, to ever win the only active quarterback to beat this Chiefs team in the postseason. And I'm going to say one other thing, because when we look at team building, if the Rams win it all, I think people will be like, oh, it's going to change how business is done. Teams are going to say, now, picks are overrated, go for it. The flip side of that coin is, if the Bengals win it all, what fan base in the world wants to hear about some mediocre GM's 5-year plan? Remember that Matt Rule is out here saying took Jay-Z 7 years? This is the Cincinnati Bengals. Right. They won 2 games. Then their number one pick of the draft had his knee blown out their first year. They're in the Super Bowl. I had to listen to John Mara tell me how they're going to run it back with Daniel Jones again. Give him more time. More time. But seriously. So I think that really good teams are going to follow the Rams model potentially. But I also think owners of bad teams, even if the Bengals don't win it, just by getting there, are going to look around and say, hey, guys, 5 years. How about 5 weeks? 5 weeks ago, nobody thought Cincinnati was an underdog to make the playoffs. Now they've beaten the Chiefs twice in that span. They're going to the Super Bowl. So I think it's Burrow. I think it's Burrow for the league and for the history of what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's Burrow by 10 miles. And Broussard, I want to throw this to you.
Wow.
To me, the narrative around the Rams is this. You know what? A little bit of a super team. Talent always wins if it's in the right situation. Matthew Stafford couldn't win in Detroit, but put him on the Rams, and he can win. Odell couldn't win in New York, couldn't win in Cleveland, put him on the super team, watch it work. Von Miller's going to win. He already has a Super Bowl ring, but now he's a member of the super team. He can make it work. Well, Joe Burrow said, I am the super team. I'm going to run back LSU here. So, to me, if Joe Burrow wins, by taking a team that in making it a super team is much more interesting and impactful than joining a super team and having collective success. I think what they're doing in Cincinnati is far more impressive.
I do agree, Wilds, in the moment. Like, if Burrow wins the Super Bowl, in the moment, that will be bigger than if Stafford wins it. There's no doubt about it for all the reasons Nick threw out, the historic reasons. But again, we don't know, how he builds on it will have a lot to say about how big this actually is. Stafford's already played more 2/3 of his career. And there was a narrative about him that he has changed. And you're right. He's got plenty of weapons. All right. But OBJ, one of them was having problems elsewhere. He's gotten the most out of OBJ. That team he joined couldn't get over the hump and win a Super Bowl, he will have carried them there. And the thing is, too, the numbers. Now, I know that he didn't play, like yesterday, he didn't have a tremendous game, but the numbers look great. And over time, you'll just look at the numbers and the details kind of get lost over time. So I think the fact that his numbers are so huge, Mike, and if they win the Super Bowl, it's going to be like, oh, this dude was getting it done, and it was Detroit's fault that he never was here before.
I mean,
and obviously in Detroit, I mean, he never had a defense. He never had a Ramsey or Von Miller. You know, he never had an Aaron Donald, guys who can change the dynamic of the game and to a point where he don't have to do as much. So I think for Stafford, he just landed in the right spot. And with Joe Burrow, you know, he just set the bar for a lot of young quarterbacks in the league. You know, we mentioned Daniel Jones. You know, he's a guy that, you know, the Giants said they're going to continue to move forward with, Nick. And why? You know, I mean, I understand you're going to give a guy a chance and you want to continue to build around him. But, you know, you got a guy in his second year who just made it to the Super Bowl. I thought, you know, Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan set the bar years ago when they made the playoffs as rookies. But now it's been set even higher. You got a guy in the second year going to the Super Bowl.
So I'm going to add one other person, though. I know we're talking about Stafford or Burrow, and they're the guys whose legacy is going to be impacted the most by who wins this game because it's always quarterbacks. And then people will say, well, Aaron Donald's next. Aaron Donald's legacy is cemented no matter what. Hey, listen, Bruce Smith's one of the greatest defensive players ever. He didn't win the Super Bowl. Reggie White won a couple of them, or won one of them, pardon me. But people don't really say, Bruce Smith, Reggie White, did they have a Super Bowl? Aaron Donald's legacy is set. But the Rams do not win yesterday without Odell. It is flatly unequivocal that Odell Beckham Jr. was one of, if not the leading difference maker on the Rams yesterday in addition to Kupp. And Kupp did his traditional, regular stuff at this point. We've almost become numb to it. Odell got the dirty work yards, took the massive hit and held on to the ball on that late drive, that great drive late. And Odell, it's only fair, fair with how much time and energy we have spent criticizing Odell for non-football stuff, that in the biggest moment of his career, this last month, he has delivered. He won them the Ravens game, which won them the division, which put them in a position, by the way, to be hosting this game. He has been excellent in this postseason, and yesterday he had 100 yards for the first time in 2+ years. So Odell deserves a ton of credit here as well, Jenna.
Yep, and no Baker progressive ads seen yesterday whatsoever. All right, moving on. We got to talk some AFC. Back to that championship.
No.
I didn't see any. I just keep a tally. I saw Dr. Rick. I didn't see any of the Baker.
Yeah, let's talk about Baker.
Did this one play keep the Chiefs
do a Baker segment.
from getting back to
let's
the
do a Baker
Super Bowl?
segment.
Dive into details.
That's what people
next.
want
First
today.
things first. First things first, we head back to Arrowhead. Chiefs and Bengals, final seconds of the first half. KC up 21-10, trying to score on their fourth straight drive. Add 7 more before the break, but Tyreek Hill stopped short of the goal line as time runs out. KC failed to get into the end zone rest of the game, and it cost him. Here was Patrick Mahomes on what went wrong before halftime.
I knew that the time was low, obviously. I knew we needed to get points. We called a play that we were trying to get someone over the middle quick, and then I was supposed to throw the ball away. I got a little greedy there and try to give to Tyreek and get a touchdown. They had 2 people out there, so definitely. I mean, in the long run of things, it looks bad, but if we had another chance, I would have went for another play again.
All right, we got Mike Vick back with us. Mike, Nick said earlier the game flipped on this play. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do think somewhat it changed the dynamic of the game, but, throughout the first 2 quarters, they had moved the ball so easily up and down the field. I can see why, they made this attempt. Everything was going into everything was in their favor up until that point. But this is what I learned, throughout the course of this season. A lot of teams going for it on 4th down and just giving it a go. especially in the red zone, you got to take the points. You know, I was watching that game, and even though Andy Reid has an arsenal of plays, and I know he got a plethora of goal line plays that he can get the ball into the end zone with, you know, sometimes it's just safe to take the points. And in that situation, you trust in Patrick. You know, it's only 5 seconds on the clock. If it's not there, you got to get rid of it quick. And that's the mental clock that has to be playing in Patrick's head. So he got a little greedy, like he said. He went for it all. You know, everything was going good for them up until that point. So they had a little bravado. And I understand why he went for it. But still, you know, at the end of the day, Andy's trusting Patrick to get rid of the ball. Obviously, 3 points would have helped. It would have made it a two-touchdown game, 14-point game. And it would have been much tougher for the Cincinnati Bengals to come back from that. So, you know, they did what they did. They did convert it, and, you know, it cost them.
Yeah, I think this flipped the game entirely because I think it for some reason, and I can't explain it, but all the data suggests it wrecked Mahomes' head. He was just like he was a different player from the moment he threw that pass against Green Bay for the next 2 months. He was a different player from the moment he threw this pass until the end of the game. This was the worst half of football Patrick Mahomes has ever played. And it came after arguably the best 6 consecutive possessions he had ever played. Think about what led to this. Touchdown strike with less than 2 minutes remaining against the Bills, followed by the 13-second drive, followed by the game-winning drive in overtime, followed by to start this game, touchdown, 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 and then drove him down the field in a minute to the 1-yard line. And then from that moment forward, he has 50 yards, he has 2 picks. He seemingly forgets time, score, situation. And so I don't blame, I want to make this clear. I don't blame Andy. If there were 2 seconds left, then you are choosing touchdown or 0 points. With 5 seconds left, Andy thought he was choosing take a quick shot or then we'll throw it away and get the field goal.
Throw it away.
I don't think I don't think Andy thought this was going to be the final play of the half unless they scored a touchdown on it. And it's not like the Bengals did something brilliant. Patrick just made a massive mental error. And I've watched every snap he's played of his career. Broussard, he's made mistakes due to trying to do too much. He's made physical errors like, he doesn't set his feet, and those types of mistakes. I've truly never seen him make the, oh my God, I essentially lost track of time and score mistake. And I think it rattled him. And I don't think it helped that for Cincinnati, it left the margin at the exact margin it was at when they played the Chiefs a few weeks ago. I'm not a big momentum guy, but I am a big guy of, you don't want a team to have belief. And they were down 11 against the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Not 14, not 18, down 11. And I think that played into their confidence in the second half.
All right, Nick, stop it. Stop. This is an excuse. All right, I get it. Is this a coping mechanism? This is a coping mechanism because they lost. I don't know what in the world this is. That was a mistake of trying to do too much.
Yes.
You're right. I'm not mad at Andy Reid. I think it's the right call. But if you don't have it quick, throw it away, then you kick the field goal. He was trying to do too much. This wasn't a brain freeze. Oh, where am I at? No. And I don't think it ruined him for the rest of the game mentally. This is a guy that came back a week ago with 13 seconds left, all right, and won the game. This is a guy that came back in the Super Bowl down with 8 minutes left to play and all that. So he's been in bigger situations than this. So I don't think that mentally he was a mess. I think what happened, your Kansas City Chiefs are a lot like you. They get too cocky.
Oh, no.
All right? They get too obnoxious. And they thought this is a cakewalk. 21-3. And just like you were thinking, 42-17. We know this is a cocky team. A couple of wins after starting 3-4, and they're on national TV talking about, we got our swagger back. Oh, all that mess. They got cocky. And Mike, you notice sometimes in a professional game, because even between great and good teams, the margin of difference is small. So sometimes you relax You think you got it made? You got the game in your back pocket? And then they start coming at you and you can't get it back, Wilds. And I think that's what happened. The Chiefs thought it was over. This is simple. And Cincinnati rushed back and got in the game, and the Chiefs could never get their mojo back. So, Wilds, I'm not buying Nick's thing. I'm saying they got too cocky, and that's what happened.
I think you're right. And look, we talk about the Chiefs having their swagger back more often than we should because it gives Broussard an opportunity to do his impression. But there's something real there, Mike. Because when the Chiefs got their swagger back, they admitted that they had lost it for a little while. And what Nick is pointing to, it feels like they came out in the second half and they had lost it. Have you ever had an experience in a game where your confidence was on a little bit of a roller coaster, and how did that affect you? And more germane to this storyline, do you think it was a confidence factor that hurt the Chiefs?
Well, I think when you come out of the first half and you don't get points, you really start that second half thinking, what if? I mean, you look at the scoreboard and this is, I mean, in real time, and, you know that 2-touchdown lead, would have been enough, to put them in a position where, they had to do everything, exhaust every opportunity to come back. And then you come out in the second half and now you're pressing. And now you're still thinking about what happened at the end of the half. And you can't really get out of your head. I think Chris just said it. You try to get it back, but it just don't come back. And then Cincinnati, for them, it just gave them more confidence. They get the ball back, they go down and score, and now it's a different dynamic to the game. So I can't recall ever being in a situation like that. I just know sometimes when the momentum shift in the National Football League, it's just hard to overcome that. And it usually takes a big play, a big run, something to get the crowd into it and get the energy back. They just never got the energy.
And the other element is this. The Chiefs have a ton of experience in the playoffs, Jenna, of coming back on people. They have never had an experience of a team coming back on them. All their playoff victories are either blowouts, start to finish, or they came back. And so to have it go the other way, they didn't react properly. I'm going to go jump out this window real quick.
And Nick, don't.
Hey,
do not, Nick. We got about a half hour left.
That doesn't help me sleep.
Be strong, buddy. Be strong. Niners Rams. Is Jimmy G the reason San Francisco's season ended yesterday? Back talking that. Nick will be with us. First things first, time for stories to start your morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Bengals Chiefs. Question for the group. What happened to Patrick Mahomes and that electrifying offense in the second half? Don't answer. It was rhetorical. He got picked off by a defensive tackle. He led to a Cincy score to tie the game. And then in overtime, where Mahomes was the hero last week, he was not the hero this week. Picked again. And that was it. The Kansas City Chiefs fall to the Cincinnati Bengals, 27-24, your final. This is a real question I'm going to ask you, Nick. And think about it for a second. Who was yesterday worse for? Patrick Mahomes or you, buddy?
Whoa. Oh, I don't have to think about it. Wow. It was obviously worse for me. Mahomes will be fine. Mahomes is 8 years left on his contract. He's got $500 million. Mahomes wasn't guaranteeing a blowout victory. I was. Mahomes wasn't betting more amount than he can afford on the game. I was. And I have been lashing out this morning trying to figure out what happened. And I thought I had it, that it was Mahomes, something went wrong for him on the final play of the first half. That it was the bizarro version of the pass heard around the world. The mental lapse that will echo in eternity. But Broussard then pushed back and made some decent points. I was like, okay, but it can't just be the Bengals were dropping 8, because they were dropping 8 25% of the time in the first half, and the Chiefs went the length of the field every single time. So what was it? And then I discovered this. Show it. The wrongest man in America about the Chiefs put his stink on us and ruined the god-dog season. Kevin Wilds, who every turn has been wrong about the Chiefs. Right after week 1, Wild said on television, guys, they're so good, they're boring to talk about. They then went in they just started losing. Wilds then said they're going to miss the playoffs. They then started winning. Then Wilds finally gets on board saying the Chiefs offense, everything else seems slow and boring. Biggest 11-point lead in sports history.
Wrong again.
And then they win in the tank. If I would have seen these tweets in real time, I could have hedged and bet Bengals money line at halftime. I can't believe, Wild, you did this. So it's awful for me.
Well,
it's a loss that will echo in eternity for this team. I have some real... Wilds, I know you told me to be strong and fight through it, but I'm not going to lie to you this morning. I might feel different tomorrow. You know what? I have just the slightest. It's not a loud voice, but a slight voice says, man, John Madden's Raiders were the best team of the 70s until the Steelers came along. They won one. The Bears in the 80s, some of the all-time great teams, they won one. The Chiefs in a more just world, in a world without a D Ford offsides, without the Packers blowing the NFC Championship game last year, all these things, they would be sitting here waiting to try to win their 4th straight Super Bowl. Instead, they have won. So, yeah, I'm not doing great, Wilds, and I blame you. I hold you. Yeah. I wish I'd never met you. That's my answer. Who's it worse for? I wish I never met this joker.
I understand. Look, how good am I, first of all, when even when I'm wrong, I'm right? I mean, that takes a certain level of sports analysis to get to that mountaintop. And look, I understand people want us to, make fun of you. I am not going to do that. Have a cup of coffee, relax, and just, enjoy
brought out
the end of the dynasty. You know what? Over before we even started, Broussard, because I remember, excuse me for a second, my friend. It's not a champagne flute, but it hits just the same, ladies and gentlemen. I remember, Patrick Mahomes signs his deal. Are you going to try to just win football games like the Patriots? Is that week to week? No. Chasing a dynasty. We're going to chase a dynasty. And then what happens? Oh, you know what? Chris Jones says 5+, Broussard, 5+. Then Tyreek Hill hears that, 5+, huh? Yeah. We're going to go for 7. Yeah. We're going to go for 7 rings. And what has happened to this nascent dynasty? D Ford's offsides. It's the only offside call in the history of the world. Lose AFC Championship to Tom Brady. Then you won a Super Bowl. Congratulations. Then you lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady again, didn't score a touchdown, and now you gave up an 18-point lead to Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow, you saw all the pictures of him after the game, Broussard, smoking a cigar. That was not filled with tobacco. That was filled up with newspaper clippings that we're showing right here. It's gone. Up in smoke. It's got 1 Super Bowl in the last 4 years. And if you want to have the parade of AFC championship games, go for it. But that does not a dynasty make. So you know what? Cheers to you, my friend. The dynasty was fun while it lasted. 1 Super Bowl. But it's fun. I liked it.
Wow. All right. So much said there. All right. Nick, I don't know if people caught this, and I want them to catch this. Nick just said there's a voice in his head saying this is it.
Yeah.
It's over. 1 Super Bowl is all we're getting. And Nick, I tried to tell you about this. First of all, stop with the whole pass heard around the world. Because that's dead, all right? That pass, it was never true, but you could keep going with it as long as the Chiefs were alive. So let's stop with that.
It was right until it was wrong.
But I told you this early in the season. I don't know, week 7, I think it was, when they were 3-4. It must be something in the water in Kansas City, something in the atmosphere when you live there for a certain period of time that you bounce from one extreme to the other. All right, and while you showed it, it's gotten to the Chiefs.
Don't take
not
shots
5,
at my
not 4,
hometown.
not 3, not 4, but 5+ Super Bowls. Tyreek Hill, 7 Super Bowls we're winning. And Nick, he goes from 20-0, right? To midway through the season, you hit the panic button. I told you you hit the panic button. You don't bounce. Steady, man, steady. And you didn't listen. And so
I was right about
you some advice, Nick.
I was right about the Bills, and this game was going to be 42-17.
No, you weren't.
And then Wild's tweets.
I guarantee you, had they had a bye, they'd still be playing. They'd be rested. They got tired in the second half. All right, but no.
You know what?
Great. Here's the deal, Nick.
Great call.
That was a joke, but Nick, I'm trying to give you some advice, man, because look, obviously this is worse for Patrick Mahomes. He lost something tangible. He was going to get another ring, his legacy. But in a sense, this is very bad for you because you got to come on here every day with me and Wilds and Jenna.
You're not kidding.
And hear it from us every single day. Yeah. And we got a whole week to fill before they even start playing football. Yeah. You know, they're the Pro Bowl, and so we're not talking about that. We're going to be talking Chiefs every day this week. And for the next 3 months, it's Chiefs, my man. So you got to live through that. But here's what I'm saying.
First of all,
don't get too high or too low. Don't mock.
No,
don't mock the opponent. Don't say really. 42-17. 42-17 written all over this game. You said
it was right, and then it wasn't.
You go too far.
I have tried to be humble this morning. It's not a suit I wear well, but I've tried to wear it. But you guys are you're really pushing me because you, Broussard, when the Chiefs were blowing out the Steelers, I could hear it. And you're such a kind man. You really have to really parse it. But there was almost a little tinge of bitterness in your voice. Like, hey, guys, do you not remember I also picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl? Oh, we remember. And I'm going to remind you about it the next 8 months. And Wilds, your Super Bowl pick has been dead since Thanksgiving. You picked Russ and the Seahawks. So you zip it entirely. You picked Seattle out here talking about,
here's the thing, though.
So such utter and total nonsense. What, Brew? What's the thing?
Nick, don't bring this out of me. All right, I don't want it to come out. But I told y'all earlier, I am from Cincinnati. All right, my dad grew up there with all my uncles grew up there. I lived there as a child for 7 years. I don't want to play that card. I do have legitimate dibs on the Bengals. If I want to go there, I can start bragging and boasting all I want. I don't want to play that card, Nick. So don't pull it out of me. Don't pull it out of me.
With the aquarium.
You wouldn't like me when I talk about Cincinnati.
The other place you've talked about is Louisiana. So Joe Burrow, this should be your team. Joe Burrow, LSU, and now Cincinnati.
Yes.
Oh, folks, I want to tell America something. Because I don't know if they know this, and Wilds might get mad at me for telling this, but guess what? Don't care. We're not friends anymore. 8 years ago, I flew to New York City to try to get a job. Walked into Kevin Wilde's office. Within 3 minutes, he's laughing at me like, hey, buddy, not hiring you. In that moment, I liked him exponentially more than I do right now. In that moment, I wish I had done what I wanted to when you laughed at me when I was trying to get you to put me on TV. Punch you in the face. Like, hey, maybe my career would have gone south, but at least I wouldn't have to work with you. No, it's all true. It's all true, America. I'll show you the flight manifest. It's all true. 8 years ago, flew to New York on my own dime, trying to get this guy to put me on TV. 8 years later, he's mocking me on my show. It's unbelievable. Every decision I've ever made in my life, Jenna, has led me to this moment. They've all been wrong. They've all been the wrong choices.
Are you
Celebrate
okay?
America.
Are you okay?
Dynasty's over.
Are you good? No, you're leaving.
I'm a baseball guy anyway,
We gotta go. We made it. We made it.
The
2
lockout
hours
over
with the Chiefs loss. We'll see you
Mac
tomorrow.
Jones next Sunday.
Catcher's report.
Pro Bowler.